Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Radio's outstanding theater of thrills Suspense, Court Benson starring in an episode entitled The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln. This was broadcast during the final season of Suspense from February 11th, 1962. And yes, there's still some pretty solid elements of old-time radio in this show, even that late in the game.
And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Tomorrow is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. 97 years ago, Lincoln, one of our greatest presidents, died, slain by the bullet of the actor John Wilkes Booth. Many historians feel that if Lincoln had lived, our history and world history would have been profoundly changed for the better. With this in mind, we bring you now a strange and unusual drama, The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln. Act 1 of The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln, starring Court Benson as Tom and Ian Martin as the Professor, and written especially for Suspense by Robert Arthur.
All right, now, Tom, give me the readings on that gauge, please. It's calibrated in years.
In years? Right. It says 1914 now, 1913, 1912, 1911, 1910, 1910. It stopped moving.
Your accumulated tension is too great to overcome, but I'll try greater power. That's what I was afraid of. Field coil blew out. But at least I added a couple of years. The projective force went all the way back to 1910. That's 52 years.
Professor Hodges, what do you intend to call this invention?
Oh, well, I could call it, let's see, an electronic compressor for transmitting personality patterns across temporal gap.
Time machine would be simpler.
Yes, but it wouldn't be accurate. In one sense, a time machine is a total impossibility, believe me. But in another sense, everyone travels in time constantly.
I'm not sure I'm following you, Professor Hodges.
All right, what happened on your 10th birthday?
Why, well, I had a big party. I got a pony for a present, and I rode him all over the lawn. I can still feel the licking I got for ruining the lawn.
Now, you see, you just traveled back 28 years in time. Mentally, of course.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Exactly. Now, suppose I connected this apparatus to you. Suppose I then focused it on some special date in history and at some special point where I knew people were present. Are you following me?
Yes, I think so, sir.
Now, the electronic circuits would take your memory pattern, your personality, amplify it millions of times, and push it back into the past, into the mind of some person at that particular spot at that particular time.
I see.
You'll be able to think with his mind, see with his eyes, hear with his ears, and move about with his body.
Well, put it that way, it doesn't sound quite so impossible.
Oh, it's very much possible. Of course, there are difficulties.
I imagine there must be a lot of them.
Oh, the technical difficulties can be overcome, but... Well, now, for instance, suppose your mind finds itself inside the mind of a very strong-willed individual who fights you.
Ah, yes, I see the problem. He might dominate you, make you helpless.
Yes, it's all very uncertain.
Well, uncertainty is one of the natural principles of existence, Professor.
Oh. Then, would you be willing to take the risk, Tom?
Risk? You mean of a trip into the past?
That's just what I mean. Now, look, Tom, you're only 38, but you're already one of the world's foremost authorities on Abraham Lincoln.
Thank you, sir. I think I'm pretty well grounded on the subject anyway.
I've read your books, and I've followed your career ever since you were one of my students. I know that you believe Abraham Lincoln's death at the hands of John Wilkes Booth in 1865 was one of the great tragic turning points in history.
No, it was. If Lincoln had lived, Professor, why, this would be a different world. He would have healed the wounds of the Civil War and left us a great nation decades sooner. We would have been a world power by 1900. We would have had the strength to prevent both world wars. We'd be living in a world so much better that... I'm letting myself get carried away again, speculating about suppose Lincoln had lived.
All right, son. Suppose he had lived.
I know, but he didn't.
Tom, today is February 11th, 1962. Tomorrow is the anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Now, almost 97 years ago, on April 15th, 1865, Lincoln was assassinated. How would you like to go back across those 97 long years and save Abraham Lincoln's life? Are you comfortable, Tom? The electrodes I've attached to your head don't hurt.
Oh, I'm fine, Professor. A little excited, that's all. Even though this is just an experimental jaunt.
Oh, back to the year 1912. 50 years, a half a century. Now, you see the old public library across the street? Boarded up, deserted, dead.
Yes, I used to take books out of there when I was a boy.
And so did your father.
Yes, he met my mother there. She was a young librarian, and he went in for a book. Well, it's family history. He was so bowled over at meeting her, he forgot the book and left it behind.
And he also forgot to sign his name on the library card in the back of the book. Look, Tom, I have it here. Henderson's Life of Lincoln.
The same book. And it looks as if no one's taken it out in the last 40 years.
No one has. Here's the card. Here's the line where your father should have signed. Perfectly blank. Tom, you are going back 50 years and sign that card that your father forgot to sign.
I'm going to enter my father's mind 50 years ago?
Exactly. You'll see with his eyes, hear with his ears, and think with his mind. Now remember, you're to change the past. You're to sign that library card.
Right, Professor.
So, concentrate on the time. Noon, April 10th. 1912. Say it aloud yourself.
Noon, April the 10th, 1912. Noon, April the 10th, 1912. Noon. April the 10th, 1912.
Sir!
Noon.
What is it? Are you ill?
Where am I?
Why, this is the public library. And I have the book you requested, The Life of Lincoln. Why are you staring at me so oddly, sir?
It's 12 o'clock. What's the date?
Why, April 10th, 1912.
And today's the first time I ever saw you, isn't it?
Yes.
But you're Mary Andrews from Philadelphia.
Why...
You just started working here today.
Well, yes, but how did you know?
How did I know? I seem to have always known. It's queer. It's as if there were a voice in my mind telling me things.
Are you sure you're all right?
Just a little dizzy. The effect of love at first sight.
Oh, please, sir.
I mean it. Mary, Miss Andrews, will you have lunch with me?
Why,
Good, that's settled. It's lunchtime. Get your hat.
Oh, all right, I will. But this book, don't you want to take it?
Oh, bother the book. Lincoln can wait. But wait a minute. There's something I'm trying to remember. Something I have to do. That's it. I do have to sign the card.
Oh, not if you don't want to.
Yes, I do. I must. There's something in my mind. Something telling me not to fail. I have to hurry. Feeling a little dizzy. My name. Tom Morrison. No, not Tom. What's wrong with me? Henry Morrison. There. Card's all signed. Now
Mr. Morrison, you're so pale. Can I get you a drink of water? Mr. Morrison? Mr. Morrison? Mr. Morrison?
Look, Tom, look. The library card.
Now it's signed. My father's name, Henry Morrison.
Yes, but he started to sign it Tom Morrison. Then he crossed out Tom and wrote Henry. That proves that your personality was dominant, if just for a moment.
I know, but it was all so ephemeral.
But the point is that history was changed. You proved it can be done. And if you can do that, you can go back and save Abraham Lincoln's life. But first, we have more tests ahead of us. Tom, How would you like to go back and hear the Gettysburg Address? In person.
Hey, you, take care. You pushed me.
Sorry, I felt dizzy. Where am I? This crowd.
Are you crazy? You're in Gettysburg, and this crowd has come to hear Lincoln speechify, just as I have, all the way from Washington. Now, be quiet, he's talking.
7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field that those who here gave their lives that this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we do this. But in another sense, we cannot dedicate...
Professor, I saw Lincoln, and I heard him deliver the Gettysburg Address. It's strange. His voice was even higher pitched than I'd imagined.
You stayed in the past a full hour. That's tremendous, Tom. Now, whose mind were you in?
Oh, it turned out to be a farmer named Evans, a simple fellow. After the first moment, I was completely in control. I could have done anything I wanted. His mind couldn't have stopped me.
That proves my theory. Now we're ready for the real thing. We'll leave for Washington tomorrow. We'll set up our equipment and instruments in the Ford Theater itself.
The Ford Theater?
Yes. And you are going to return to that fateful night and prevent that murderer's shot from being fired.
February 11th, 1962, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Suspense, February 11th, 1962, The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln.
Well, everything seems to be working. I was afraid the trip by truck might have jarred some of the components.
How still it is here. How hushed. It's as if not a single sound had been uttered here since the night Lincoln was shot.
Yes. Past seems alive. Oh, they say that time turns back for no one, that the moving finger writes and having writ moves on. But you and I will alter the writing in the book of fate. We can't fail. We have only this one chance.
I won't fail. Abraham Lincoln is going to live.
Never lose that thought, Tom. Now, let's work out our strategy. We have the place to ourselves until tomorrow morning. I convinced the management I was engaged in some tests that need absolute privacy, so we don't have to hurry.
Good. We have to work out where everybody was. The interior, you know, has been changed around here somewhat since this was last used as a theater.
Well, you're the Lincoln expert. You tell me where, and I'll do the rest.
All right, well, let's see. Yes, over there was the box office. And then, over here was the entrance into the auditorium. All this space was the auditorium. There, of course, the stage. And up there, Professor, is the private box where Lincoln sat. Now, at about 9 o'clock in the evening, President and Mrs. Lincoln entered with 2 guests. The play had already started. A man named Buckingham took their tickets, and an usher led them up a set of stairs to their box.
Now, go on, Tom. I'm following. The exact movements of everyone are very important.
Well, at about 10 after 10, John Wilkes Booth sauntered in. He spoke to Buckingham. And then he went upstairs toward Lincoln's booth. In his pocket, he carried a brass derringer loaded with one shot.
And he struck almost immediately.
Yes, sir. The president had an armed guard, John F. Parker, but Parker was criminally negligent. He left Lincoln unguarded, which gave Booth his fatal chance. Well, he fired, leapt to the stage, and made his getaway. Lincoln died the next day.
Tom, son, think of it. Tomorrow, if we succeed, the history books will say Lincoln lived. All history for nearly 100 years will be changed for the better.
We'll succeed. We'll have to.
It'll depend on you, Tom. You'll have to save Lincoln and probably kill Booth. Now, let's get the equipment set up in the right spots. Yeah, everything's working. How do you feel?
Keyed up, anxious to get started. I can't tell you how excited I am.
If anything goes wrong, it can kill you, Tom.
I'm willing to take the chance, sir.
Also, if anything goes wrong, we won't get a second chance.
I know. So let's recheck now everything that I'm going to do. First, you plan to send me back into the mind of Buckingham, the ticket taker.
Well, he's the logical choice, and I hope we can count on his being a man of no great mental attainments. Success or failure may rest on that.
Yes, of course. It'd be fatal if I found myself in the mind of someone strong and determined whom I couldn't control.
If that happens, son, do nothing. Will yourself back to your own time. Change nothing. Under those conditions, we can try again. Once you've changed anything, we can never make another effort.
Yes, I understand.
However, I don't think anything will go wrong. Now, we know exactly where Buckingham stood and can focus the temporal personality transmitter very closely. Now, Tom, you know it'll take a supreme effort.
Yes, I know, sir.
I think you will have to force the ticket taker, Buckingham, to kill John Wilkes Booth.
Very well. I will, if necessary.
Then just keep telling yourself, save Lincoln, kill Booth.
Save Lincoln. Kill Booth. I'll think of nothing else.
And here you go. Back to 1865. Good luck.
Save Lincoln. Kill Booth. Save Lincoln. Kill Booth. Save Lincoln.
Steady, man.
Kill.
Steady. Well, you almost fell then. What are you mumbling to yourself about? Drinking again, is that it?
Where am I?
Why, this is Ford's Theater, of course. If you need the date, it's April 14th, Anno Domini 1865. What's wrong with you, man?
Just dizzy for a moment.
So I'm here, on the scene. Ford's Theater, the night of Abraham Lincoln's assassination. I'm here.
What's that about Lincoln? Yes, of course he's here tonight. Everybody knows that.
Yes, of course. The lobby of Ford's Theater. And he hasn't arrived yet. We've done it, and I can't fail. I won't.
Oh, boy. You're in a bad way, mumbling to yourself, staggering. Now, look, you better go home, lie down, sleep it off.
I'm all right. Yes, I'm quite all right. The play's going on, you know. You mustn't disturb the president.
No, the president.
Yes, the president. He mustn't be disturbed. I'll see he isn't disturbed.
You're certainly acting strangely tonight.
Acting? Who are you to be a judge of acting?
No, I mean, it's just a temporary lapse, but my name, am I Buckingham?
Well, that's a good one. Tell him, Harry, is our friend's name Buckingham?
Well, I doubt it, since your name is Buckingham.
That's right. Say, how much did you have to drink?
We missed. Somehow we missed. I'm someone else.
Buckingham, what the deuce is he muttering to himself?
It won't make any difference. I'll find him, kill him.
Look, why don't you go in and sit quietly until you're yourself again? Now, just don't make any noise.
No, I can't sit down. I've got to find someone. But who? Yes, Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth. Save one, kill the other.
Oh, hey, Buckingham, help me hold him up. He's staggering. All right.
Dizzy. I've got to concentrate on Lincoln. Booth, concentrate.
There's no whiskey on his breath. He's ill. We'd better get him outside.
Yeah, come along, old fella.
No. I'm all right. It's past 10. I have something important to do. Matter of life and death. Tell me, have you seen Booth? John Wilkes Booth, the actor? Have we seen Booth?
Yes, I want to find...
come over me. Peculiar dizzy spell, then. Can't let that happen. I have too important a project to carry out.
That's strange. He's recovered.
Excuse me, gentlemen. I have to go in. I have a very important engagement to keep tonight. Yes, very important. A matter of life and death. Good night, gentlemen. This is a night when history will be made.
Well, that was a funny performance. He wasn't drunk, but he certainly seemed to have something on his mind.
He talked like two different men there part of the time.
Yes.
Well, with him, you never know what he's up to. Those actors. A strange bunch. Just imagine him asking us if we'd seen John Wilkes Booth.
Concentrate. Feel queer, but concentrate. Till. Here's the door. Ah, there you are, Mr. President.
What is it, my good fellow? What do you wish?
To give you this.
Suspense. You've been listening to The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln, starring Court Benson as Tom and Ian Martin as the Professor, and written especially for Suspense by Robert Arthur.
February 11th, 1962, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Oh, come on, I hate you. You have no right to speak to me. You're stupid, you're evil. You believe in your God, guns, and gold. You shouldn't have the right to vote. We must fix this disgusting country now. We want socialism now.
Whoa there, little fella. Our U.S. Constitution protects your right to say these things, even if they are drivel.
Our founders believed in our inalienable rights granted by God, not some mafia. Our Bill of Rights protects your personal freedoms, your absolute right to speak to others, whether loving and kind or hateful and stupid.
Utopia doesn't exist. It only destroys. Millions of innocents slaughtered by the communists in Cambodia, China, and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
And millions of people were gassed by Hitler's National Socialist Party.
Where do you stand? Help us save the Constitution and restore our American dream. Go to SaveMyFreedom.com. That's SaveMyFreedom.com.
Brought to you by the American Media Council.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now an episode of the FBI in Peace and War. This episode, Upstairs Rumor, originally broadcast February 9th, 1958.
The FBI in Peace and War. Another great story based on Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War. Drama, thrills, action. Tonight's story, The Upstairs Rumor.
Enid, open the window for Mr. Mitchell.
Yes, Pop.
Don't bother about the window.
Now, we always try to make our boarders comfortable.
Well, I'm comfortable enough this way.
Let the window be, Enid.
All right.
Get the clean towels for Mr. Mitchell.
Yes, Pop.
I wouldn't know what to do without her. Enid's been a great help to me since her mother passed on. You figure on staying how long, Mr. Mitchell?
Why?
Well, just asking.
Look, I came here because Ernie Foreman recommended your place to Ernie, and he said there'd be no questions asked.
Ernie didn't make a mistake there. Sorry.
Okay.
You can have your meals with me and my daughter downstairs, or she can bring them up here to you.
I'll have them up here.
Suit yourself. He told you the price?
Huh?
Ernie.
Oh, yeah, $100 a week.
Now, that's where Ernie did make a mistake. It's $150.
What?
And like Ernie said, no questions asked. And no questions answered, either. In case somebody should get nosy, like, say, the police.
Where do you come off jacking up the price?
Common business sense, Mr. Mitchell. The greater the risk, the higher the price.
What makes you think I'm any special kind of a risk?
I don't think anything, and I don't ask anything. All I know is you're looking for a nice, comfortable, safe spot to lay low. An extra 50 isn't going to break you, I don't think.
In early May of 1946, an armed bandit held up the Peoria, Illinois office of a loan and mortgage company and got away with $40,000. Under the provisions of the National Stolen Properties Act, the Bureau entered the case immediately. Agent Reynolds and I were assigned to the operation. And after interviewing the employees of the mortgage office, it was established that the thief was Frank Mitchell, alias Frank Morrison. Wanted circulars were distributed in a tri-state area. A man answering Mitchell's description was seen in Detroit 2 days following the robbery, and that was the last piece of concrete evidence we had to work on.
What'd he say, Enid? Will you put that magazine down? I asked you what he said.
Who?
Mitchell, when you took his dinner up to him.
Didn't say anything.
Enid, I'm talking to you.
You asked me what Frank Mitchell said, and I told you he didn't say anything.
Put that magazine down.
Am I hurting anybody?
Put it down.
For Pete's sake.
What's the matter with you? Don't you ever get tired reading about New York and gawking at pictures of it?
No, I don't. As long as I'm not bothering you.
Oh, you're worse than a kid with comic books.
Well, don't you ever get tired of telling me that? Kid with a comic book lot, you know.
I know there's nothing special about New York.
Sure, you've been there. You didn't spend your whole life here in Oakdale. It's easy for you to talk.
There's nothing wrong with Oakdale. It's a good place to live in.
It's even a better place to die in. What I wouldn't give just to take a walk down Fifth Avenue.
Now, you don't have to give anything because you're not going.
Maybe I am one of these days.
Ain't it?
I don't care what you say. I'm going to see a few decent things before I'm too old to enjoy them. You think I'm going to spend the rest of my life cooped up here?
I think you're going to do just what I tell you.
I'm over 21 and too close to 31.
And you're old enough to know what I say is right.
Look, Pop, what would be so terrible if I went to New York just for a visit?
Enid, why don't you listen to me? I keep telling you it wouldn't be good for you.
You're afraid. That's your trouble. You're afraid once I got out of this one-horse town, I'd never come back.
Enid!
You can't win every argument just by yelling Enid.
Enid! Hey, look, instead of arguing, we should be thinking about our new roomer upstairs.
I'm going to bed. You think about him.
All right, I will. And I'll think about his $40,000, too.
What?
He's wanted for sticking up a loan company in Peoria.
You got away with $40,000?
Ah.
Well.
You know what I've been thinking, Enid?
That now you can get a lot more than $150 a week out of him.
Yeah, something even bigger than that. I was just thinking maybe it's about time we got out of the rooming house business and sort of took life real easy.
And traveled?
Traveled? What for?
Yeah, what for?
I was thinking we could settle down right here in Oakdale to a nice, quiet, peaceful life of our own. Once Frank Mitchell goes and leaves us his $40,000.
Back to the upstairs rumor in just a moment.
February 9th, 1958, the FBI in Peace and War on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you just have a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. There are hundreds of thousands of members, and they love it. MediShare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and this is obviously huge. The typical family saves around $6,000 a year switching to MediShare. Find out more. They're great to talk to. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
The Overstock sale continues at MyPillow.com. Deep discounts on Giza Dream Sheets, MyPillow original pillows, the My Slippers, half price. I love mine. And with every order you make by going to MyPillow.com/radio specials, you'll get a free copy of Mike Lindell's book, What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. MyPillow.com/radio specials, promo code USA. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of the FBI in Peace and War, February 9th, 1958, the Upstairs Rumor.
After learning that Frank Mitchell had been seen last in Detroit, Agent Reynolds and I moved there to set up our base of operations and concentrate the search in that general area. In the meanwhile, in the city of Oakdale, less than 200 miles away, the wanted man had become the object of an entirely different sort of search.
So, Enid, while you got him downstairs here, I'll go through his room and look.
What makes you think I can get him out of his room?
For $40,000, you can do just about anything.
Another drink, Frank?
Thanks, but I think I'd better get back upstairs.
You don't like my company, hmm?
Sure I do, Enid.
Well, then what's your hurry?
Your old man.
Pop, what about him?
He keeps a pretty close eye on you.
Oh, don't worry about him. He's gone to bed and he sleeps like a log.
Yeah?
Take an earthquake to wake him up.
Okay.
So come on, join me.
You know something, Enid?
What?
This is turning out a lot better than I thought. I mean, staying here. I figured it was going to be pretty dull stuff.
I'm glad you came, Frank.
Are you?
I like talking to you. I don't get much of a chance to talk to anybody but Pop, and he doesn't understand.
Understand what?
Oh, how I feel about this place, this town. Guess you've been around, huh?
Yeah, I've been around.
New York?
Sure. Who hasn't been there?
I haven't.
All you have to do is get on a train or a plane and you're there.
All I ever do is read about it.
Well, reading it isn't the same as going.
I know.
I guess this isn't much of a town for a girl like you.
You're telling me.
Real sick of it, huh?
Oof, up to here.
You're not small town stuff. I spotted that the first time I saw you.
You did, Frank?
Mm-hmm. You're strictly big city.
Like New York?
Sure, that's where you belong.
Don't ever tell that to Pop.
Oh, I'm not telling him anything. Maybe I can arrange it.
What?
Well, I won't be staying here forever. In a couple of weeks, I'll be moving on. I wasn't figuring on going to New York, but if that's where you want to go, well, maybe I can arrange it.
We continued the search in the Detroit area, but no positive results were forthcoming. Then on the fourth day, a new lead developed. An attendant at a gasoline station located on a main highway a few miles outside of the city had made positive identification of the wanted man. Agent Reynolds and I interviewed the attendant at his place of work.
And when I saw his picture on the poster, I phoned the FBI right away.
You're sure it's the same man?
Oh, absolutely. He was that Frank Mitchell, all right.
And he was here when?
Friday, around 10 o'clock. I was on night duty last week, and things are kind of slow around 10 at night, so I had plenty of chance to take notice of him.
But Mitchell wasn't driving the car, you said?
No, like I said, there was another guy behind the wheel. Of course, it didn't mean anything to me then, but when I saw Mitchell's face on that poster of yours this afternoon, it hit me like a ton of bricks.
When they left, they headed south.
Yeah, well, seeing it's a divided highway, that's the only way they could go.
And the other man, the driver?
To tell you the truth, I didn't take any special notice of him.
Then you can't give us a very good description of him.
Huh?
The driver.
Oh, no. But it may be his real name.
What may be his real name?
The one on this credit voucher.
Ernest Foreman.
Yeah, he had a credit book, paid for the gas with it, signed his name to the slip. Well, you know how it works.
Yes, we know.
His address is printed on the slip, too. You can see.
Uh-huh. Get it down, will you, Dave?
Yeah. Lucky we still have that voucher around. By tomorrow, it would have been on its way to the petroleum company.
Ernest Foreman.
Like I said, it might be his real name and address, and then again, it might not.
The name Ernest Foreman checked out all around, including with the local police authorities. Though never actually convicted, Foreman had been arrested on several occasions. His landlady told us that Foreman was out of town on business and was expected back the next day. Agent Reynolds and I waited for his return.
I covered every inch of his room. There wasn't a dollar of that hold-up money in it.
Look, Pop, why don't you forget about it?
Forget about it? A chance like this comes along, ready-made, and you want me to forget about it?
All right, so don't forget about it.
You bet I won't. And since when are you so ready to give up?
Well, something doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out.
Well, this is gonna work out. That money can't be too far away. He's got to have it someplace where he can get his hands on it quick.
If you want to know so bad, why don't you go upstairs and ask him?
I'm not. But you are, tonight.
What?
You're gonna act like you're trying to help him out. He likes you. He'll believe you. And when you get through, he's gonna tell you everything I want to know.
All right, suppose he does. You think he's just going to stand by and let us get away with it?
He'll have nothing to say about it.
You said he's wanted by the FBI.
So?
So he'd rather go straight to them than let you get away with it.
He's not getting a chance to go to the FBI or anybody. Once we get our hands on that money, he's finished. The FBI wants him? All right, they'll find him. In a ditch someplace, dead.
As expected, Ernest Foreman returned to his Detroit address the following afternoon. As he slipped the key into his apartment door, Agent Reynolds and I were on hand to greet him.
Ernest Foreman?
Yeah. What is...
FBI.
FBI? Well, what's it about?
Suppose we talk about it inside.
Who did you say, gentlemen?
Frank Mitchell.
Frank Mitchell.
Of course, Foreman, you never heard of him.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, so help me.
Nothing's going to help you, Foreman, but the truth.
Now, would I fool around with the FBI? I tell you, I'm giving it to you straight.
You never met Mitchell.
So help me.
And what was he doing with you in your car last Friday night?
Where did you get a story like that from?
The attendant who filled your gas tank at the Apex station on Highway 11.
Well, whoever he is, he's crazy.
There's a credit voucher signed by you to prove he isn't crazy at all.
Huh?
Well,
come to think of it, I was out on Highway 11 last Friday. Yes, oh, now I remember. There was this hitchhiker, you see?
No, Foreman, we don't see.
You don't?
Uh-uh.
It's going to be bad for me, huh?
It could be even worse if you're not cooperative.
Then I guess I got nothing to lose by talking.
He told us about his involvement with Frank Mitchell.
So help me, I had nothing to do with that stick-up. I didn't even know about it until the day before yesterday.
Eventually, he told us where we could find the wanted man.
Frank told me he was looking for a spot to lay low for a while. I was short of dough, so I made a deal with him. Drove him down to Pop Turnley's place in Oakdale.
Frank, I'm telling you this about Pop because you've been so nice to me and I wouldn't want it to happen to you.
Wouldn't want what to happen?
He's going to kill you.
What?
He's gone out for a while. Now's your chance to get away.
Now, wait a
Frank,
minute.
will you do as I tell you and get out of here?
You're going to tell me what this is all about.
Please, get out of here.
Ain't it?
All right. He knows you got the money from that holdup in Peoria. I found out he wasn't asleep last night when you and I were downstairs. He was in here looking for the money.
Well, he didn't find it.
Yes, I know. But he'll make you tell him where it is, and then he'll get rid of you. So will you leave, please?
All right. But you're coming with me.
What?
You said you wanted to get to New York. Here's your chance, and it may be your last. Just get a coat on. We'll stop at the railroad station and pick up the money.
Railroad station?
I checked the suitcase there. The money's in it.
And you've got the claim check?
Sure, right here in my wallet. Why?
I'm why. Get your hands up, Mitchell. I'd just soon squeeze the trigger now as later. So get 'em up.
In it.
Blood's thicker than water, or haven't you heard?
You set this all up, huh?
I set it up, but she sure carried out her part all right, didn't she?
Let's get this over with, Pop.
All right, Enid, his wallet. Get it.
Here's the claim check.
Now, you be a good girl and go down to the station, get that suitcase, then call me here and let me know just what's in it. And like I keep telling you, you can't always trust people. Hello?
It's Enid, Pop.
You get the suitcase?
Uh-huh. And I just looked inside.
And?
Money's in it, all right.
That's my girl. Now, you get back here, and then we're going to take Mr. Mitchell for a nice drive in the country.
Okay, Pop.
Yes, miss?
How soon is the next train in New York?
Let's see, 20 minutes.
I want a ticket on it, please.
Yes, miss, to New York. Round trip?
No, one way only. I'm not coming back.
understand what's so funny. What you got to grin about?
You? The way you're sitting there on pins and needles waiting for your daughter to show up with the suitcase?
She'll be here, and then you'll be on your way.
It's been over 40 minutes since she called.
Who's asking you? Shut up.
How long can it take to get here from the station? 15 minutes at the outside?
I told you to shut up.
You know what I think, Turnley? I think Enid isn't going to show up at all.
She will. My girl will show up. Maybe she had a little trouble with the car.
She lied to me about everything but wanting to clear out of here. Get away from you.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You know I do. She wanted to get out of this town. She saw a chance and she...
Shut up, I told you! Shut up!
All right. But there's no use of you looking over there at the clock. She's not coming back.
Mitchell, I'm telling you! She's not coming back, huh? There she is now. You don't know my girl. Go on, open the door. Go ahead.
Stay right where you are, Mitchell. Put your hands up.
Who are you?
FBI.
FBI?
You're Pop Turnley?
Huh?
Yeah, he's Turnley, all right, and he's got a gun. Too bad you didn't get a chance to use it. Up.
Enid Turnley and the suitcase of money got only as far as Buffalo, where they were both taken into custody by agents of the Bureau. The Turnleys later were tried and convicted of knowingly harboring a criminal. When brought to trial, Frank Mitchell willingly entered a plea of guilty and asked the court for clemency. Because of his record of previous crimes, none was given him. And he is now serving a maximum sentence in a prison where only the guards show a casual interest in the upstairs rumor.
The producers of the FBI in Peace and War acknowledge with thanks the Citation of Merit awarded to the program by the 100,000 members of the National Exchange Club during their 11th annual sponsorship of National Crime Prevention Week. All names and characters used on the program are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. This program is based upon Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War, and the broadcast does not imply endorsement, authorization, or approval by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This is Gaylord Avery, inviting you to listen to next week's story, Letters to the Editor, on the FBI in Peace and War. Same time, same station.
From February 9th, 1958, the FBI in Peace and War on Classic Radio Theater. Hope you will take just a moment to visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand. You can also learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can get all of our social media links, and you can also contact me through our webpage at classicradio.stream. classicradio.stream. Don't forget, our shows are also available anywhere on the internet, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Please take a moment to thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around. And tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.